I also liked that, like I said, there was only like really 2 violent, bloody deaths. Like they didn't just overuse the gore. You know what I mean? Like if you do that once, you could really probably get carried away with doing it a lot. But they really didn't give you a lot of blood and gore and a lot of violent death. It was because that really wasn't what the movie was about.
Yeah, they did it in a very, very tasteful way. And even with
the spine shot out through the neck.
I know,
is that tasteful?
No, but like I'm saying, fuck you, Jay. Senpai. I'm going to make you my kohai.
They were tasteful.
Okay. Well, I guess, what the fuck are we doing? Matrix ripoff. Take 1.
And everything is broken.
That was a glitch in the Matrix.
I was having deja vu. Okay.
You good there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
I had sweet camel milk.
Sweet camel milk. You get the camel milk. The camel milk doesn't come from the teat like you'd expect. You gotta
slice into the hump.
You gotta extract it from the hump.
Everybody knows camel keeps his milk in the hump.
Yeah. You squeeze them teats, you can just get dry sand.
Stab it with a straw.
Fresh camel milk. It dripped in my beard.
And on that note, welcome fucking back to Anime Shmanime. I'm your host, Mikey Lee.
And I'm Jordy Hedderwick, and Senpai Jay is in the wings.
Hello.
Apparently, this episode's actually about camel milk. So,
Don't ask.
So yeah, just don't ask. You'll see it in the highlights or the fucking blooper cut. So
this episode is actually about something with no camel milk. But before we get into that, this is an official spoiler alert.
Yep. So if you have not seen Ghost in the Shell, the original, go fucking watch it because it's fucking amazing. And it's still a masterpiece to this day and holds up. Don't look at me like that,
I
Jordy.
said no words, and I looked at you fondly.
yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute.
You're
Just love in your eyes.
This is gonna ruin our relationship.
Yeah. If you ruin this one all of the other fucking episodes we've recorded and all of the other animes we've watched together, if you ruin this one for me, I'm going to make you drink fucking camel milk.
Let me just point out that I can't ruin anything that isn't already bad enough. I'm just pointing out things. And if I've ruined something, it's only because you've become aware of the truth.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about the truth on this one, aren't we?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, fuck.
Okay, so today's episode is about Ghost in the Shell, a movie starring Scarlett Johansson, which I watched last week.
I'm gonna straight. If you watch the fucking live action and didn't actually watch the anime, I wouldn't put it past you because you being a dick.
That would actually
That's the one we were supposed to watch, though, right?
Hilarious prank.
Okay, so for real, I did actually watch the Scarlett Johansson one when it came out, long before I ever watched this version, the animated one, which I did watch for this episode.
Okay, but did you watch the original or did you watch Ghost in the Shell 2.0? Because that was a remaster of the original.
I believe I watched the original. I watched the one Jay told me to watch.
Yeah.
It's the. I'm sure it's the original.
Okay.
It had
good.
original vibes.
All right, good.
So my takeaway is Ghost in the Shell is about an invisible, nude, highly advanced cyborg assassin who contemplates her existence while tangled up in a bungled intermilitary conflict with another section who armed and activated the world's biggest incel.
You're
Painfully accurate?
no.
Right on the money?
No, it's not an incel, but it is an incel, but like it's not. I hate you.
We'll get there.
Just straight up hate you.
We'll get there, my dude.
No, man, this is a movie. First of all, this is a movie that fucking The Matrix ripped off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was painfully obvious, too.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is really like an existential like movie that's going to test through time as far as concept goes. Like the animation holds up to this day.
Sure.
It's fucking a masterpiece. The amount of work. You're just thinking about.
I can agree with you on those points. I will say though that like I wouldn't call it perfect. And we'll, over the course of this episode, I'll tell you why.
Pretty fucking close to perfect.
Okay, so let me start off by saying that, yes, there's a lot to like here.
Yeah.
Great quotes and dialogue. Great sci-fi themes that I really dig. Themes like body versus soul, AI and its implications, the complexities of human augmentation, even the limitations of technology, which is like very prevalent in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Also a little bit of like haves versus have-nots and living in a future military state. A lot of themes, a hefty bag of themes, but they're all done really well.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the way they tackle the themes.
Thank you.
I will say the movie kind of felt like a 90s cop drama.
Well, it did come out in the fucking 90s.
I know,
it was
but
in
it had-
1994 or
But
95?
it had a treatment as if it was like a live action cop drama movie. Do you know what I mean? Like,
It almost felt like Predator 2, where
Yeah.
you're like,
it's or like a
the-
Beverly Hills Cop or something. Do you know what I
Exactly,
mean?
yeah,
It
yeah.
had that kind of vibe.
Yeah, this is like a world where, you know, it's so huge. I mean, the story, like, obviously there's Ghost in the Shell 2, 3, like all these other...
The remake starring Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, if this keeps going... I'm not gonna get into that one.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode on that, and like you can just
watch
me
us
rage.
watching it and how great it is and how good of a job they did.
I'm about to fucking throw my chair at you.
Another thing of initial reaction is there's a lot of great scenes, iconic scenes. So I can really see how this movie holds in people's minds. Like there's a lot of moments that just really stand out visually that were unbelievable. There's a vibe, a very badass vibe, top to bottom.
Well, not to mention, I feel like this was one of the godfathers for the cyberpunk genre.
Okay.
Right. So like a lot of cyberpunk themes and aesthetics really came from this, and same with like Akira was another big one in that era.
Yeah.
And so like it is like the quintessential. One of the quintessential animes. If you're into anime, you need to watch this. Like I cannot like stress that enough.
Sure. As a complete noob to anime, I also kind of was getting that vibe. It felt like even not knowing what this influenced, it felt like I was watching something pioneering, something you know what I mean?
Important.
Yeah, something that at its time must have been new and fresh. Obviously, like I'm a critical person when it comes to these things.
You're not a critical person. You're a fucking cynical person.
I'm watching these titles with a critical eye. So like a couple of things that I'll mention is, and this is, I feel like common when adapting a larger like story into like a film or a short series, is that some things seemed a little bit rushed. Not to mention with such, like I said, like a heavy collection of themes. Some of them were like less explored than others, which is fine, but like things that I noticed.
Yeah, but you gotta also keep in mind, like this is an adaptation from a manga.
Yeah.
That, you know, like you have way more storytelling and more character building that's involved in a manga that you can get invested in.
Sure.
Where this is what, hour and a half, 2 hours?
Shorter, an hour and 20, I think.
Oh yeah.
Really short.
Yeah. Right. But like again, and there's we'll talk about the differences between the manga and this, because there's quite a few.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear that.
Are you though?
Yeah, I am. I'm honest. Yeah. See, you're going to distrust me from this point onward forever. Another thing that stood out as being like kind of interesting, which we'll probably get into pretty deeply, is like the technology. While really cool, a lot of it was a little like maybe loosey-goosey. And some of it was like maybe not fleshed out or explained in a way that made much sense to me.
You and your goddamn needing things to be like spelt out for you.
Guy needs the blueprints to every piece of fictional technology
I'm
that's
just
ever existed.
asking for
like,
things to make sense.
Well, it
That's
does make
all
sense.
I'm asking.
It plops you into a world where cyborgs and like all of these things exist.
Yeah.
right?
I'm talking about some more specifics. I get the idea of the
we'll get
world.
into
We'll
that.
get into that. Before we do that, though, Jay, you want to hit us with some history and some fun facts about this movie?
Yeah, I'll
Senpai,
give you guys-
don't disappoint me, buddy.
Give you guys the rundown. So,
Sure.
Ghost in the Shell is a 1995 anime neo-noir cyberpunk thriller film. My God.
It has as many genres as it has themes.
Yeah.
Directed by Mamoru Oshii. The film is based on the manga of the same name by Masamune Shiro and was written for the screen by Kazunori Ito. It features the voice of Atsuko Tanaka, Akio Otsuka, and Iamasa Kayumi. It is a Japanese-British international co-production, executive produced by Kodansha, Bandai Visual, and Manga Entertainment, with animation provided by Production IG. And let me give them a shout out because holy shit.
Yeah. It's fucking
Even I'm on
awesome.
board with that shout out.
Yeah. The film is set in 2029 Japan and follows Motoko Kusanagi. It's
pretty soon.
A cyborg, a cyborg. They got a lot of work to do. A cyborg public security agent who hunts a mysterious hacker known as the Puppet Master. The narrative incorporates philosophical themes that focus on self-identity, and in a technologically advanced world. Music composed by Kenji Kawai includes vocals in classical Japanese. And the film's visuals were created through a combination of traditional cell animation and CGI animation. One of the first animated films to be kind of combining the two, because I mean, CGI was only really invented a few years prior. Jurassic Park was only in 93, right?
Yeah, true.
But the nice thing with
Jurassic
this
Park
is
was
that-
largely animatronics, though.
Yeah.
Right?
But they
I'm sure,
literally
yeah.
invented CGI systems
Really?
For
that
this,
changed
yeah.
the film industry for Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
They invented it
Yeah.
for that movie.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but everything that followed after, really like to integrate it. And so upon the release, Ghost in the Shell received positive reviews with critics, praising its narrative, score, and visuals. It was initially considered a box office failure before drawing a cult following on home video. It has since grown in esteem and is now considered to be one of the best anime and science fiction films of all time. It inspired filmmakers such as the Wachowskis, creators of the Matrix films, as well as James Cameron, who called it the first truly adult animation film to reach a level of literary and visual excellence. That's out of Jimmy Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
So
This
high
movie,
praise.
Yeah.
is again, I cannot say enough. If you have not seen this movie from 1995 that holds up to this day, go watch this fucking movie.
And I want to put it out there that while you will hear me pick it apart a little bit, that I agree.
Yeah,
It's worth a watch.
There it is.
It's a good
there
movie.
There it is. We got another one on.
It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another quick little fact before I throw it back to you guys. First anime film to be released at the same time in Japan, Britain, and the United States. Its intended goal was to bring anime to a more mainstream audience in the UK and the US. It didn't, but it did become a sleeper hit on video and DVD.
Hey, well, okay, so just to piggyback on that real quick, this is the pioneer, to bring anime to North America and really introduce what anime could be and what it was really all about. Because North America
On a cinematic scale.
yeah, on a cinematic
Yeah.
scale, and not only because there were certain animes like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and a lot of people thought that's kind of what it was, and it was always going to be this weird shonen, kiddie kind of thing. But anime is really geared towards adults.
Yeah.
Right, like it can be really gritty and really wild.
Yeah. Even the kids shows. As we've established.
As we established in the last episode.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure. I want to take an opportunity. That's a good opportunity for me to piggyback. I watched this movie twice. Once in the subs and once in the dubs.
Oh, we're getting Shweebs.
So let
my
me-
little Shweebs. We're getting there. We're
I'm
so
doing
close.
this for you, not for me. So let me tell you.
Isn't it nice though, that
Yeah.
it's such an easy to digest film. It's such a quick,
Yeah.
easy watch.
Yeah,
too.
it was quick. It was
flies
easy to
by.
watch twice. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
real quick. So one thing I'll mention, I want to ask, when it was released simultaneously in North America and in Japan, was it released in dub here? Or was it
Yeah.
released in sub here right away?
No, dub.
Okay, because the dub is fucking shit.
Yeah.
Dude. So bad. Really awful, man. Fucking Kusanagi's voice sounded like a telephone customer service operator.
Well, okay.
Really bad, dude.
So
it was
from
awful, man.
So from my memory, again, it's one of those things, like, I'm making up excuses for the genre, especially when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know how to properly voice act
Yeah.
a lot of anime.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, culturally, when you're speaking in Japanese, there's only a few different mouth shapes.
Yeah,
And
I
so-
get you, but even just the quality of the voice was like, it was so strange to watch, dude, the second time through.
Well, and again, in the 90s, man,
Yeah.
the localization
Yeah.
just wasn't, like, it was hard for them, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, my Shweebs can correct me and bring me some more information, but like, these big comic book guys, I think it was like Neil Gaiman, Frank Miller, like, were the ones, or Todd McFarlane were the ones that brought a lot of anime to North America to show them that what was going on in Japan and how, you know, North America was kind of falling behind in this kind of medium.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. Well, anyways, it fell fucking short, dude. Like, the dub was bad. It was really bad. And I'm the guy who has watched dub and sub of most of the titles we've watched and not been phased really by the differences. This one was glaring.
Yeah.
Like, real bad. Yeah. Yeah.
So just to be clear, the film was actually originally released subtitled.
Okay.
The dub took a few months
okay.
to actually
Okay.
arrive. So it came shortly after. Earlier in the UK, it wasn't actually until the following year in the US that they got the dub there.
Interesting.
But
Well,
yeah,
they bungled
not
it.
good.
It was not good. Yeah.
Thank you, senpai.
Okay. So, as usual, we'll move on to start talking about the art first, which I think we can all agree is amazing.
It's not
Just
only
really
amazing,
breathtaking. Yeah.
but like, they have done such crazy details. Like, when they were looking for cinematic art or like views, they're taking it literally out of like Hong Kong.
Okay.
Right. To
Yeah.
have that kind of metropolis.
Yeah.
And like going through and making all these little details on like hand, like animated.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the amount of work that was put into this.
Totally. I noticed right away that the like cities and the like towns and the background images were like very detailed and like super hyper realistic. Like, it looked cool. Really, really, really cool. Obviously, you mentioned Akira. I was going to say even some Tron vibes a little bit at times. And the Matrix is like, it's a 1-to-1. Like, the imagery
Matrix,
is the same.
This is the precursor to the Matrix.
Yeah.
This is what
I
they took.
also I have to give a shout out to Blade Runner.
Okay,
for
yeah.
being hugely influential to everything that came after it in like
Sure.
the sci-fi genre. Like,
Yeah.
Blade Runner set the precedent for so
Totally.
much of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Another thing I noticed, I guess this is an art thing too, is like in terms of cinematography, like Unreal cinematography, which is not always the case for animated features.
Yeah, man.
And even like to the point where there was like these like long drawn out montage scenes, which at first I was like, these are weird because there's none of our characters are in them and they're all just kind of showing the scenery. But what they were doing was cementing the themes I mentioned earlier, right?
Well, they're also cementing the world that you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Like, really trying to get you to like be dropped in and be enveloped in this world that is cyberpunk, that is this future, this where AIs and cyborgs are like a real thing.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, when they were doing some of the scenes, like, for example, like when they're shooting the guns, they would go to Malaysia. Like, I can't remember who, but they went to Malaysia to actually see what it was like to shoot a gun and how the response was.
Weird.
What it looked like when, you know, like, for example, at the end of the movie where they're in the museum and the tank, the little Tachikomi or tank fucking shoots the wall.
Yeah.
Right. There's no sparks. Right. Because they saw that when they shot like a concrete wall, there was no sparks.
Interesting. So they really went the extra mile.
Oh, they went so
Far the extra mile that they had to go to Malaysia to shoot guns. Like, why can't they shoot guns where they were?
Well, I mean, it's Japan,
Yeah.
so I guess they didn't.
Someone's shooting guns in
so-
Japan, dude.
Nah, well, okay, fine. I don't fucking know at the time. I don't live in Japan.
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
what I'm saying is like the amount of attention to detail, and this
Sure.
is why this movie holds up so much.
Yeah.
Is that it gives you such real grittiness and feeling and flow, and nothing feels awkward or janky or
The fight scenes and the shootout scenes, like
Yeah.
every gunshot has just this impact and like this like weight to it, and every hit, every punch, you feel it harder more.
Or
like,
when she's like
way harder in this,
yeah, when she's trying to like rip the fucking door off the tank and like her arms
start splitting.
And her, you can see her muscles striating and everything. Yeah, it was really cool, dude. That scene was intense. I cringed through that whole scene.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's the point.
Yeah, it was tense. You mentioned something right off the bat too. You guys both are talking about guns and bullets, which actually brings me to my first point of contention a little bit here. We're going to talk about the tech now, okay?
Okay.
So
keep in mind, this is a fucking cyberpunk futuristic. Yeah.
Okay, so it's in the future, right?
Yeah.
And they have crazy technology, right?
Yeah.
But no lasers, just bullets still.
Well, really? That's your gripe?
It's one of them, dude. I mean, dude. She's literally an entire robot and not one laser gun.
Yeah. I mean, I can let that go.
I can too. It's just at the same time, like, that is a thing, right? Like, how do you have that much technology in one world? And you're like the military, right?
Yeah.
You have the most advanced weapons. Even at the end, dude, Batu's like, oh, I have my special experimental weapon from the lab.
Yeah.
It's just a missile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like one thing like, and this is like may feel like a bit of a reach, but like when it comes to like futuristic anime or like anime surrounding war, like, and I don't think this is necessarily the case here, but it is in some other ones where it's like, oh, like that was the case. Maybe lasers were the weapon of choice for so long that until somebody developed an infallible defense against it, that they had to take a step back and go back to ballistics and go back to traditional weapons. Like, there's
like
some
that.
anime that we're going to get into later on, some other series that's actually the explanation for why they're still using primitive stuff.
If I were to try and explain it in less of a stretch way, I'd say that what they're probably doing is probably trying to give you a juxtaposition in a steampunky kind of way where there is some advanced technology and some primitive technology. You know what I mean? Well, they can't have everything advanced technology and still have that kind of grime, kind of steampunky vibe, right?
Cyberpunky vibe, right? But like the grit, right?
Yeah.
Like
bullets are
gritty.
Yeah, bang, bah,
but
boom,
there's even like the scene where like
pew 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 pew.
Yeah, like they're trying to track down the garbage truck, right? And you're going through kind of like a very ghetto area of the city.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like you have this high-tech area, you have this grittiness, like and it has that noir feel.
Yeah, totally. They really did like draw a line between like the military that has like all the technology, like the robots and the nice buildings, and like the general population who, like, I think the only regular humans you see are like either garbage men or people who have their brains hacked by the puppet master. So like there really is, that's like what I was saying before, that kind of have not theme explored a little bit further in that, right? That was really outlined well in the juxtaposition of those scenes.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to get more into tech.
Okay.
So the opening sequence, there's some text that pops up on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it to you. It says, in the near future, corporate networks reach out to the stars. Electrons and light flow through the universe. The advance of computerization, however, has not yet wiped out nations and ethnic groups. None of that's relevant to the movie at all.
Again, it's about being dropped into a world. It's also about creating a tone.
Yeah.
Right? Creating like this feeling, this ambiance of like, oh, shit, like, okay, we're going into this cyber sci-fi world now.
Yeah, except that, again, dude, like they said 2 sentences to describe the world we're going into, and none of those sentences were ever outlined in the movie whatsoever. Not once did they ever mention anything off-planet at all. They never talked about the networks reaching to the stars.
I mean, that could just be a metaphor of it being like...
But it says those exact words, dude.
Well,
okay,
it could be a metaphor.
Electrons flowing through the stars, like that's just physics. Like that does happen.
Not to mention,
but that just happens.
Yeah,
right. Again, corporate networks reach to the stars, dude. I'm just telling you that was like I was expecting some shit like that, and like they didn't ever go out through space. And then here's another one: the advance of computerization has not yet wiped out nations and ethnic groups. They didn't even mention ethnic groups. Like, why do they even have to mention that in the title sequence?
But they're also talking, like, what you can see in the movie that there's so many like political confrontations, right?
Yeah.
And different countries. They're probably tying that in there.
They just told you a conflict hasn't happened that like hasn't happened. That's really what that said to me. Oh, they haven't wiped out ethnic groups yet. I was like, okay, moving on now.
But it tells you that they're trying to.
But then never again in the movie did it say that they were trying to. Only in that title was the only time that was ever mentioned.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're establishing good and evil, right?
Yeah, but again,
Yeah.
they already had that with Section 6 and Section 9.
No, but they're also trying to
Right?
establish
They had the military and the regular people.
Yeah, but they're also trying to establish that it's not just the military, regular people. It's also AI. It's also the ghost, your spirit, and how that kind of comes into play.
But none of that is
right?
ethnic groups being wiped out.
Well,
None of that is that.
You're talking about like the corporate
Yeah.
reaching the stars or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that is definitely establishing the scope and scale of which things are controlled by corporate interests.
Okay, well, they're establishing a scope, but then again, leaving it alone for the whole rest of the movie. Why establish
don't.
that no one ever goes to the stars? No one ever leaves the planet?
No.
The
but
network is all contained on
No,
Earth.
but
in this movie.
but the corporate forces that be
Yeah.
are overwhelmingly powerful throughout this entire movie, and that's
Yeah.
what that sentence is supposed to explain. They've reached the stars. They
Yeah.
control everything. There is not a surface on the planet that they don't control.
That would have been a great sentence. There's not a surface on the planet they don't control. Now I
I
understand
know
their
I'm a
reach.
fantastic film writer.
I'm just saying, you're better than them, dude.
Right. I'm
That's
just
what I'm
saying,
saying
like,
here, man.
We're making a movie.
You're looking at an English translation, probably from most likely written by a Japanese person.
Okay, I'd be
Again,
curious.
local-
I'd be
that's the
curious
other
to
thing.
see what the real translation is because
localization too could have been an issue, especially in the 90s.
yeah, it just
right?
made me think we were about to get some intergalactic shit.
Yeah.
and we didn't get that. We're on
No.
Earth the whole time. Okay,
Yeah, this is very much so more like post-apocalyptic, like high tech cyber.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
They just lied to me in the opening text. They told me
fine.
2 lies about the movie.
Fine,
Okay,
they lied to you. Accept it. Let's move on.
that's one you're gonna have to accept, buddy. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing of tech that was weird:
Yeah,
the
okay.
invisibility. So she has to get naked to get invisible.
Yeah, because let me explain that. Because her tech is built into her skin.
Okay. Why? How come no one else has to get naked? Why would they build it into her skin and not give her a suit?
Well,
why does she have to get naked?
Okay, first of all, you're gonna, especially for an adult anime that's just
Yeah.
coming out to try to pioneer that stuff.
Sure.
Like that's a way to push an envelope where you haven't seen, unless you've seen like the North American heavy metal.
Yeah.
I don't know if like anybody's seen that one, but
I've
like
seen the cover of it. I get
Yeah.
what you're getting into with that movie.
right? Like, I mean, as like in '95, like as I don't even fucking remember. I can't do math right now. But
Yeah.
like as an adolescent, like
Yeah.
seeing that for the first time, I'm like, oh yeah, naked,
Sure.
naked cyborg, sweet.
Okay, it pushed the
I
envelope.
think it's a narrative choice, and I'll explain real quick what I think it does.
Sure.
And they've touched on this elsewhere in the movie, is it establishes the fact that she's not viewed as a human being.
Yeah.
That's true too.
She gets naked not
Yeah.
because they're like she has to get naked. It's because they don't care that she's naked.
Okay.
Like they don't give her the respect or the dignity that a human would get.
Yeah.
To have to be clothed and to have a suit on.
Okay.
Why would they program her to have clothes that transform when they don't care about her rights?
They just I get what you're saying. They just gave her a very human body and a very like sexual one, and then
Because that's exactly what
Yeah.
a human being would do who designed her.
yeah,
It's a very realistic
a fucking
look at
pervert
it.
who would do that. That's what I'm trying
exactly.
to say,
No,
dude.
but here's
The
the
Isn't that,
science-
isn't,
the
that,
scientists.
isn't that so human though?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
Because
I
here's
guess
the thing. So one of the biggest differences in between the manga and the movie
Yeah.
is that in the manga, Major Kusanagi was actually more described more as like a younger, kind of had this va-va-voom, like kind of
Sure.
Jessica Rabbit feel.
Okay.
And she's also a little bit more slapsticky with her facial expressions and how
Okay.
young she is.
Yeah.
So it was an art choice to make this version of Kusanagi be more gritty, to show her more maturity, to be in a military,
Yeah.
to have that commanding presence.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you saw what it was like in the manga, it wouldn't have translated nearly as like adult.
Yeah.
Right? Or mature, or to have that same grittiness
Sure.
that this movie needed.
And I get why, for a movie's sake, they did that to, like you said, push an envelope to add to the kind of gritty, the more maturity.
Yeah.
But like from a plot perspective, if she has to get naked only when she's invisible, and that's because they don't give her the respect of needing clothes, why does she wear clothes all the other time?
Well, because you're still in society, right? And that's the thing. Her biggest struggle, one of them was, am I human?
Yeah.
Really? Right? Like
Sure.
I have a ghost,
Yeah.
but I have an entire cyborg body.
Well, and that's another thing too, is like as a like human soul or ghost or whatever, she would still maybe want to wear clothes.
Yeah.
Right? But no.
But
naked.
No, she's not. But she's also has to conform to regular society.
Yeah, by putting clothes on.
Yeah, by putting clothes on. But when she has to go,
when she has to go invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how the tech works. Like if she
No,
goes
it doesn't.
invisible, but she's wearing clothes.
But other people have to put clothes on to go invisible. The guy
Yeah.
she fights puts on a coat and goes invisible.
Yeah, but that guy doesn't have a cyborg body.
different tech.
Right. I
Right?
understand. They
Entirely
built it
different
into
tech.
her cyborg body.
Yeah,
That's right.
It just
she
seemed like
has
the
highest level
yeah.
of.
It's just super pervy for those scientists to do it that way.
Yeah, but
Because she wears
everything-
clothes all the other time. Why couldn't they have built it into her clothes? You know what I
Okay.
mean? Made them bulletproof.
But her wearing clothes all the other time could be her decision
Yeah.
to not attract unwanted attention and
Yeah.
animosity in public, right? Like
Yeah.
it's who knows how that's going to be taken in the public sphere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and another big point too is like for her struggling with the idea of either being, am I a cyborg, am I human with my ghost, like, and taking these weird indulgence, like going diving in the ocean,
Yeah.
right, and trying to have those feelings and those experiences and make those memories,
Yeah.
right, like that pushes that idea of like, you know. I should be feeling a certain way that humans who go diving would probably experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Okay. I get it. It just seemed odd
Yeah.
to me, to be honest with you.
yeah. But also, I will give you this.
You guys did a good job on that
Yeah.
one. I
will.
understand.
Yeah.
now.
I will give you this, though. Anime, just in general.
Yeah. Super pervy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the whole waifu thing, like, I joke around about it all the time, and
Yeah.
I do love having a waifu. Yeah. Rem is one of my waifus.
Okay. Yeah.
But actually, Major's one of my waifus, too.
Okay.
Yeah, I fucking love her.
Yeah.
Right? But, like...
You're like an anime polygamist over here. Let's talk about if we're gonna talk about the nudity. Let's talk about her nudity. The fact that she has very human body, human nipples, but no genitals. It seemed to me, and again, you guys will maybe be able to explain this plot wise, but it seemed to me like a bunch of nerd animators have never seen a pussy before, and so they just Barbie dolled her.
Well, I feel like for that one,
You can only push
I
the
think
envelope so far.
Yeah.
It changes the rating as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're drawing genitals.
Yeah.
It literally will change the rating, and that changes your audience.
Again,
massively.
just put clothes on her then.
But why would you when stylistically you don't have to?
Yeah, because those scenes, like especially when she's her body's being created, and you see like the first layer.
She goes in a bath of milk, and then the milk chips off, and now she's got skin.
Yeah, right. Like it's just showing how advanced that cyborg body is.
So advanced, it doesn't even need a vagina.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's a military cyborg, right?
Yeah.
She's not there to.
It's not built for procreation.
Yeah.
But
Okay, fair enough.
but there is an advantage to having her appear very human-like, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge balance in this whole story. Is like she's so synthetic in so many ways, but there are those things that are balancing her out and making her feel human. And maybe it sounds ridiculous, but human nipples make her feel that much more human when you do see her in her birthday suit, I guess you could say, right?
But you were saying before that the nipples weren't her choice. That's the scientist's choice. Right?
No, because I think
Because if
the
it was
part
her
of-
choice, she might have chose to have clothes that make her invisible instead of nudity that makes her invisible.
No, but the other thing too, though, you got to understand that she is still identifies as female.
Yeah.
Right, because of her ghost.
right.
Also, I'm not speaking of her like wanting to present more human. I mean like that theme being presented by the animators as a directorial choice.
Oh, I see what you're saying,
To
yeah.
design her in
Yeah.
a way where she still had human features, some,
Yeah.
but not
All
of
but
them.
vagina.
Yeah.
All but
Right,
one.
but like that makes her feel more synthetic.
Yeah.
So they're always playing with that balance, that give and take of
I think
human, but
honestly,
not.
they could have put a skin tight invisibility suit on her, and she'd still look pretty the same as far as like
Yeah.
being a female to me.
But there's also again in the 90s too, and even now, right? Sex sells,
Yeah.
right? So
Again, from a movie making standpoint, I get it. From a plot point, I get it a little bit, but also I can see both sides.
yeah, I feel like it's an important topic to touch on.
Yeah.
but again, it's the semantics of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we did a practice episode that you'll never see about Street Fighter 2 Once Upon a Time. And we talked about the scene with Chun-Li,
Yeah.
which I felt was
Also,
not
Hey.
overly sexualized,
Yeah.
weirdly. It actually, like, felt really real.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I feel like you said, is a very much a sex cell situation.
Yeah. Well, in the Street Fighter 2, it just showed that particular scene just showed her vulnerability.
Exactly.
Right. Like,
which set up the fight scene and how she got caught off guard, and then it actually gave her an opportunity to be even more badass than just beating a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She beat a guy in a very vulnerable state. This is like just like, hey, here's my boobs. By the way, I'm invisible now.
Yeah. But I mean, I do give it a bit more credit in the sense that, like, also you gotta understand the 90s, they didn't have a lot of strong female like roles, right? Like you would rarely see, a female in a position of power like that.
Right. And if you are going to have one, you make them naked and give them nipples but no vagina.
God damn it.
I'm just saying, dude.
You walked into that one.
It's very much a sex cells, dude.
I did. Fuck. I fucking did.
Okay, we can move on from nudity. I have one more tech thing that felt a bit squirrely for me that maybe you guys can explain because you're doing a great job on this episode.
Thank you.
So she can plug in, like much like the Matrix, and like travel through and explore cyberspace, right? With her ghost.
Yes.
So if that's the case, why isn't she doing that from the very beginning to find the Puppet Master? Why is all her hunt for the Puppet Master happening in real life? There's a crazy manhunt driving on the streets looking for this Puppet Master. Meanwhile, she can just plug in, which is where he is.
No, so here's the thing, right? Like, because the Puppet Master is a fucking incredible hacker, and like we all know at the end, like he's, was created by the government to be this like espionage AI.
Yeah.
Right? Like the risk that's involved in doing that, not to mention the privacy like issues that would come up as a military or government issue. Like you're looking at someone who not only like the Puppet Master jumps from people.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Right. So, and also being hacked and using the low tech that
is
in
it
the
jumping
movie.
from people, or is it just like using people?
Well, it's technically using people because he also like rewrites their memories and stuff like that. But like there's so much risk involved, and not to mention he's so good at what he does, like you don't know where it's coming from, and that's what they were also dealing with. They were also dealing with something that was very unknown to them.
But don't you think she'd have a better chance of finding him in cyberspace than in real life if the fact, like you said, he jumps from person to person and they just like he doesn't really exist in a body?
But think about the cyberspace of jumping from ghost to ghost to ghost, and the amount of people that she has to
he can run. He can run and separate. He can put so much space between him and her so easily. It's the cyberspace that he exists in is his playground. He can run freely through that. It's no different than her chasing him through the city physically, her chasing him through cyberspace.
I understand. It just seemed again like a missed opportunity. She has that ability. He exists there. They could have given you one scene where she goes in and looks for like, you know what I mean? Like that's her ability. Not to mention she's the most powerful augmented like body and ghost who can do that next to him. Why wouldn't they have that face off in cyberspace?
But the thing is, I think they kind of touch on that a little bit when they catch, what was it? The interpreter. Right. And they go through her brain, and then, the people are monitoring from a safe distance where they're not actually plugged in, because they state that, if you were plugged in and you were hacked or attacked, right, like something could severely go wrong.
But she does plug in.
She plugs
a
in
bunch of times.
No, she plugs in at the end.
She plugs in the van when they're trying to find him.
No, but that's to monitor where they're going.
Okay, but she plugs in.
Well, she plugs in a little bit.
Oh, just a little bit. Just, but my point is that she's doing that regardless of the risks. Why wouldn't she be looking for him in there while she's doing that?
Because I think it's established that the risk is just too big.
But she's already there in cyberspace where the risk is.
Yeah, but but you need to go in. So my understanding from the movie is that there's still a protocol of putting up some sort of barrier or firewall.
Okay.
Right? I mean, as soon as the Puppet Master would see that, he would be like, nope, peace, I'm out. Like,
but isn't he super powerful, and wouldn't he be able to just break it down and get in there anyways?
Well, I'm sure, but he's not like omnipotent, right? Like he gets caught.
Can I tell? Yeah, can I? But he gets caught on purpose.
I was gonna say he actually is so good that it's revealed like he when he actually talks to Kusanagi, like it's revealed that he's already interacted with her.
Yeah. Well, and that's
and she didn't have any realization, but he's already been in her head.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Knows. She's already in cyberspace. The risk is already there. He's already all powerful in cyberspace.
But I think he wanted wanted her to find him.
Yeah.
I think like there's an aspect of that where I
Well,
feel
no,
like
because he
it was
got caught in order for him to find her in the end too, right?
Right, that's what I mean.
So,
like it was orchestrated.
Can I tell you what I think why they did that? And again, it's the same reason why I think I said before is like it's just to keep the cyberpunk vibe alive and not go too cyber. They had to keep it in IRL. They had to keep it in that gritty landscape. Because if they just go in the internet, now you're just in a regular sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the reason I think it happened. It just
I can agree to that.
Yeah.
Like again too, like when this movie came out, because I always have to put it at the time of creation, right? Like we didn't know what like our actual like technology was gonna be like now.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this was 2029 is when it was set. We're like what, 7 years away from that?
Yeah.
Right? 8
I want a
years
naked invisibility suit in 7 years. That's what I want.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? Like, I mean, who else did something very similar? Altered Carbon.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, well, in Altered Carbon,
Probably heavily influenced by this. I would say.
yeah, heavily influenced because they have sleeves. They grow their own bodies, and then you just take this stack out of your like spine, put it into another sleeve, and you can live forever if you can afford buying more and more sleeves. And you can actually go into a different body.
Yeah.
Right. If you want it to be male, female,
Much like a ghost.
Yeah, much like a ghost. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think for Kusanagi, she identified as female and she was born female. And so they just kept that body, just enhanced it. It's the same with Bato, right? Like he has those eyes that just like he never blinks.
Yeah.
Right? They're just always on.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, technically, Kusanagi never fucking blinks in the movie either, if you've noticed.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there's always those weird scenes where she's just like staring at you.
Yeah, that was a conscious decision.
Yeah, I was going to say she's probably engineered to not need blinking, just like she's engineered to not need her vagina anymore.
It was an artistic decision to make her feel more doll-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. They love their dolls. They're sexy dolls.
But what I'm hearing though is that you love the world, you love the art.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and honestly, even the technology I thought was like pretty cool for the most part. There was just a couple things I picked out as like maybe being holes, and you guys did a pretty good job of explaining most of them, but maybe not perfectly.
Well, you know, just I don't want to run too far back, but like you're talking about the tech and like I guess some of the nudity and whatnot. How did you feel about that scene where Bateau like puts the jacket around her?
I noticed that actually from the beginning is that he never looks at her when she's naked. He won't look at her. He put the jacket on her. He's like kind of like he had a big brother vibe for her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's probably because they're both so augmented, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like none of the human people would have hesitated to look at her because they don't view her as same.
That's right.
But to him and her are same. They're both like heavily augmented. So like she's like a naked being of his species. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Somewhat. I think for him, it's like I think he understands the struggle she's having with her own humanity, and her own identity, and what a way to humanize somebody than to cover them up when they're in a vulnerable state. You know what I mean? And she might not view herself in that state as being vulnerable because she just fucking murked that guy.
Yeah,
right.
Big time.
And she's not thinking about that in that moment. But like for him, he's kind of being there as her reminder, being like, hey, like. This is something else you stand for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me wrap you up because I know that's what you probably want.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about that right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But like that feeds into that huge narrative, dude, about like her being doll-like, her being sexualized the way that she is. Like, of course the military would design her that way.
Fucking creeps, dude.
100%.
Big old creeps, man.
Well, I mean, like as far as espionage goes, like, you know, we know that, you know, women were used to, you know, they use their allure to gain information.
Yeah.
But I also think too, especially like in the military or any kind of like tight knit unit like this, they're not like just a SWAT team. They're a family.
Yeah.
Right. You have to get close because you need to trust this person that they're going to have your back going in. So there again, it is this new dynamic where, you know, if I was with my wife and she end up being naked, of course I'm going to cover her up, right? Like, and if she was in the middle of a street, like, right, like people, of course, are going to gawk, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just human nature and very much so society's behavior, right? Like those are kind of expected in a way.
Yeah,
right?
I can see that.
Now let me ask you this though: what did you think of the music?
The music was really cool, dude.
So I'm gonna give you a quick fact about the music,
Okay, cool.
which is really cool. So the haunting, like
tribal drum and vocal.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
So it was.
Yeah. Sing it, Jay.
So my understanding is that it's actually like a Bulgarian folk singing, or like that the director wanted to have because it was so haunting. But they also wanted to use traditional, I think it was like Japanese folk lyrics.
Yeah.
With it, but they couldn't find somebody like a Bulgarian choir to do it, so they had to get like a Japanese choir to do it to layer on top of those two.
Interesting.
To have that kind of ominous feel, because like when you hear that, like you don't just hear it, you feel it.
Yeah. It was intense. It definitely added to those scenes because they used it like in the scenes that were like huge and epic and like it was cool. It was really neat. The other thing I noticed about the music was that again, that 90s cop drama vibe. In like the montages, there was like a jazzy kind of guitar driven. It's like the 90s cop who's like, I'm too old for this shit, and wanders the town like wondering whether it's all worth it anymore or not. You know what I mean?
But that's that noir feel.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Which
like
totally,
the old detective is like,
right. Which you don't get that same kind of feel in the manga, which is really nice because like I said, this was pushing the envelope. This was bringing a reality to the North American audience that just wasn't ever seen before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, I don't know, man. This is the closest I've ever been to wanting to give something a 10.
Wow. Really? Eh?
Yeah. This is one of the movies that's like we had this conversation. Like I don't get 10s.
Yeah. Right? Me neither. Yeah.
But like this is pretty.
It could get one. It's like a 9.9.
Yeah, 9.9.
Fair enough.
Yeah, CGC 9.9.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
No, if you're not a comic book nerd. Yeah.
Nerd. Yeah. Right on, dude. Yeah, the music was cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of music, y'all should get you some headphones and listen to the click of your mouse clicking on that subscribe button.
Oh my God.
You're so sneaky. You just snuck right in there like you're naked and invisible. And we didn't even see it coming.
Well, yeah.
Somebody cover him up quick.
Yeah. No, he's not human.
No, I'm not human.
Leave him naked.
I'm just gonna grow my beard really long to like cover the front of my body.
Hey, there you go. That's kind of like invisibility.
Yeah. But yeah, we would really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. We love you. Subscribe to whatever podcast where you're listening to. Give us a review, all that good stuff.
Share it with your friends or your annoying little brother who likes anime, even though you don't.
Why are you listening to this if you don't like anime and your brother does?
Because you're handsome.
Yeah.
You are handsome.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, Jay, you are a very handsome man.
Camel milk.
Okay. We're strange. People aren't listening to us anymore. I'll tell you that much. Okay, let's move on and get into the meat of it and talk about the plot of the movie.
Yes.
So we're going to start with the opening sequence. So as we mentioned, you get a nude assassin right away. No genitals, nipples though. And right away, one of the first things you see is a dude's head violently exploding.
Yeah, fucking
and
awesome.
Somehow his like spine and ribs are shoved up out through his neck.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like intense and probably physiologically not accurate.
Well, I think again, it's that impact, right? We talk about how
from a regular bullet.
No, these are like high velocity bullets, man. Oh yeah, for
I don't know,
sure.
dude. What bullet isn't high velocity?
Well, there's regular bullets, higher velocity.
Okay, they have super
like
bullets. Probably, I guess, magic.
No.
Okay.
Future. Yeah. Future, like science.
I did notice there was like maybe 2 actual violent, bloody deaths in this movie, and they both kind of had that vibe where like bones and organs are flying out of the body like crazy.
But again, it's that thing where it's like in the 90s, you've never seen that before on screen in an animation.
Yeah.
Right? And just to see that pushing that envelope.
The 90s were extreme.
Yeah, that's true. Everything was extreme.
Yeah.
Right? The X Games.
Yeah.
Swan.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that wasn't something I disliked. That was just something I thought was worth noting. Like the stylistic choice to have like the body explode out of the wound was kind of intense.
But here's the thing. What's funny is that carrying it on to now, that is still pretty intense.
Yeah, I would agree, to be honest
Right?
with you. Yeah. I mean, maybe I haven't seen a ton of adult animation yet, but like, yeah, it definitely.
That kind of hyper
is
violent,
intense,
hyper
yeah.
realistic.
Yeah, it definitely like
Yeah.
struck me as being a little intense while I was watching it.
Yeah.
I also liked that, like I said, there was only like really 2 violent, bloody deaths. Like they didn't just overuse the gore. You know what I mean? Like if you do that once, you could really probably get carried away with doing it a lot. But they really didn't give you a lot of blood and gore and a lot of violent death. It was because that really wasn't what the movie was about.
Yeah, they did it in a very, very tasteful way, and even with
I mean, the spine shot out through the neck.
I know,
is
but
that tasteful?
no, but like I'm saying, fuck you, Jay, senpai. I'm gonna make you my kohai.
They were tasteful.
No, but
They
like,
were tasteful in their restraint of
yes,
using it.
Thank
get
you,
it. Yeah,
thank you.
okay. I'm
Right,
with
but
you.
even still, like in it not being like overly like blood everywhere, too. Like you're not gonna get that in real life, where if you get shot, you're not gonna have like these bloody like splatters all over the place. You're gonna bleed.
Yeah.
But like in like especially in movies,
Yeah.
where they specifically do hyper violence,
Yeah.
you got blood splatters all over the place that don't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like
For
they
sure.
were trying to do as realistic as possible.
Well, it wasn't realistic.
Well, to a degree, because you still have
Yeah.
to suspend a certain amount of belief watching an animation like this.
Well, you're asked to. You don't have to.
I'm gonna flip the table.
Don't, because we're not done yet. Let's go to the next question I have.
Yeah.
And this one you probably will be able to explain, but I felt like in the movie it was explained a bit wishy-washy. But like, what is a ghost? Is it just a soul?
So essentially, yeah, they compare it to a soul, and it's the idea of like, I think, therefore I am.
Okay.
Right. So the having a conscious.
So when they call it a ghost, is that just kind of like a slang word for your soul or conscience, essentially?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. So because I kept being confused, because they do also say soul sometimes, and I was like, are they trying to differentiate between the two? At one point, I was like, is a ghost like a cyber soul? Like I don't know, didn't quite understand
Actually,
that.
I would say that's fairly accurate,
like,
because you can transfer
they are
your.
kind of trying to draw the difference.
So like
the
a
idea
soul
that-
exists in a regular human being, a ghost exists in a human being that's been altered.
Yeah.
or a synthetic that's been granted a level of consciousness,
Right.
that allows it to be
But
self-aware.
the only synthetic is the puppet master. The rest of them all were humans once upon a time.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you could say that the puppet master had a ghost.
Yeah, sure.
Because he was self-aware. He had full consciousness.
Okay. And then the next question, the follow-up to that is like, are most people in this world robotically altered? Because
to at least some degree, yes.
Because it seemed like again, the puppet master had a lot of fodder to like to hack into. But then there was a scene when Batu is explaining to Tungusa about how altered he and Kusanagi are, and Tungusa acts like he's like never heard of that before. He's like, you probably would never guess. Meanwhile, he's got like metal eyes that we're all altered, right? And I'm like, I don't know, is that guy just an idiot, or like what's going on there?
But there's a certain degree, right? Like, so if you were looking at Kusanagi just pass by, right? Like if she's wearing normal clothes, and even the fact that she doesn't blink and like kind of looks like a doll, you would never know that she is this high tech cyborg.
She did like hook in through the van, through the back of her neck, though.
Yeah,
like
but
while she was in the van with him, though.
Yeah, but
so he should know by then.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like at that point, everybody has that.
Yeah.
Right, to a degree. Right, they have a certain amount of augmentation where you can connect to technology.
Yeah.
Right, through your ghost or using your ghost or using your brain. Right, and that's where Matrix got it. Right,
That was a huge Matrix parallel for sure.
Yeah, right.
Like, you look at like the tech involved that makes Kusanagi exist.
Yeah, it's way more advanced than
your average person's probably going to have a few little things done here and there to augment their health or their well-being or their
But a lot
fitness,
of it between Batu and Kusanagi, you're saying, is like beneath the surface, like you'd never know.
Exactly.
Unless you were told or been
well
exposed
hidden,
to it.
well engineered,
Okay.
like meant to be undetectable in a lot of cases.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You guys are doing so good in this episode. I'm proud of you. So the next one is Batu at one point in that same conversation says like, even a plastic doll can have a soul. And I'm like, but why? And in my head, I'm like, but like, what's a soul gonna do in the plastic doll? Does this have a soul?
Well,
Does my hat have a soul?
Well, your hat.
I don't know. Even a plastic doll can have a soul, dude.
Yeah. So I think he's making again that parallel to being a cyborg.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that if without the ghost,
Yeah.
the cyborg is just a plastic doll. Right. Like
Right, but then without the ghost, the plastic doll doesn't have a soul. So a plastic doll can't have a soul.
No, but you can transfer a ghost in there, which is technically a digitized soul.
Tell me how you're transferring a ghost into a plastic doll.
So as long as your plastic doll is equipped to have those functions,
Yeah.
right, you can transfer, like Kusanagi, for example,
Yeah.
right, when she has her body remade,
Sure.
right, like you're transferring your memories, those souls,
Yeah.
that ghost into it.
I just feel like your plastic doll has to have a level of tech beyond your average plastic doll in order to house a ghost.
Yes, but
and so that sentence to me was like a little bit far-fetched.
No, but he's not saying like that's just a metaphor,
Yeah.
man. Like he's not saying like every plastic doll, like
No, I understand,
right?
but
Like,
again, a plastic doll is the wrong metaphor because the technology. What he's saying is a lot of things with technology can have a soul. What he should have said is like maybe even a microwave can have a soul, or like even a camera can have a soul. But a plastic doll, there's no tech in a plastic doll in which to harbor a soul.
No, but it's man-made.
Yeah.
It was created by people.
Right.
You know, it's an object. It's,
okay.
It's the
So what
most
he's saying is
primitive,
like
basic object that you could describe to a young woman
Sure.
is a doll.
Yeah.
Your dolly could have a soul, like
If it was equipped with the right technology in which to harbor it.
Yeah, but
sure,
you
but
are
that's
you are
commonplace in
definitely
2029.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
You are
harping on a line. I'm harping on a one line.
Yeah, you're harping. It's like serious semantics, man.
Bro,
Serious
wanna make you mad, buddy.
You don't know what it's. You don't
I
know
just
what
wanna
it's
make
like
you
to
mad.
exist in 2029, dude.
No,
you
I
have
will in
no
a couple
idea what
years.
it's going to be
Yeah.
like in 2029,
Dude,
man.
Plastic
That's
dolls
so
running
far-
around with souls. You
I'm
guys
never
make
gonna
it
blink
in
invisible.
2029, man.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just giving you guys shit. You guys are on point on this episode, and like this should be like a testament to this movie that like I'm harping on like far-reaching things because
Yeah.
honestly, it was a really good movie.
See,
There's not a lot to hate in this movie. Just trying to make content, trying to make you mad, trying to make you mad.
You know,
it's working.
I agree that it's so tight and it's
Yeah.
like so like bulletproof in its simplicity and
Yeah.
it's like short run time. There's not a lot of fluff going on, and
No.
if it is, it's a visual feast. If
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is, right?
100%.
So,
Yeah, I
like,
agree. Full heart.
But not only that, like the way that it delivers and it makes you there's these scenes where like it's just the scenery or the world or where she's kind of contemplating, even like with this picture where she's just sitting in her bed, right? Like it forces you to kind of dive into your own existentialism, I guess,
Yeah.
for a better word.
Sure.
Right. But like, and that's the great thing about this. And I think that's why it was so influential for so many other movies or mediums to take on.
Yeah.
Right. So
For sure. Yeah. Let's talk about the scuba diving scene and like the whole concept of Kusanagi's self-awareness for a second here. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, that scene was great. The floating up to the surface and the mirror image of her that like I talked earlier on about like iconic scenes that stick in your head.
Yeah.
Really iconic scene there. Really, really cool imagery. She explains, that's the first time actually where she explains kind of how she's conflicted to the
Yeah.
viewer.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like you're waiting for me to destroy
you know what?
you?
Why? Because like I'm anticipating some weird fucking reference to the fucking ScarJo movie.
No.
Like I'm like
no.
he's been good with that so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, he has been.
He's
He has
I'm
holding
not going to
back.
overuse it in the
He's
same
hold-
way they don't overuse the bloody exploding bodies in this movie. So the one thing that's weird about that
Yeah.
scene is that weird ominous voice. Whose fucking voice is that, my dude? Because
So-
they don't explain that. It just comes out of nowhere and like, did you hear that?
So-
and they're like, yeah, and then they move on.
I feel like that was actually the Puppet Master.
See, that's what I thought.
See, like that, but it's again, it's one of those things that it's not like explained.
Yeah.
It's based on assumption.
Yeah.
It's based on also creating a bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, and you kind of find that out a little bit later when she actually meets the Puppet Master.
Well, you don't find that out. They never really tell you where the voice
like,
came from.
I'm saying like
They leave you to assume.
Yeah, they leave you to assume or try to like put those pieces together, right? Because you know that the Puppet Master and her have interacted at some point.
So I'll tell you something because I watched the sub and the fucking horrible, awful dub. In the dub, the subtitles told me that was actually Kusanagi's voice.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, now that I remember, yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. So Kusanagi's voice could also be like
The puppet master using it.
Or the other speculation I have is also maybe it's her inner voice that's coming out
Uncontrollably?
Yeah, unintentionally, right? Like,
And Batu can hear it?
yeah, well, she's connected, right?
Is she?
They can speak to each other all the time through their fucking
I guess they've got comms or whatever?
Comms, like, through
Okay.
their mind, right?
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. I think, again, that's also a testament to her struggle of learning what it is to be human.
Yeah.
And the fact that we do, even as humans, like, we always have these inner thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? But you can't hear them because we're not connected in
Sure.
that way, right? But like, I always have inner thoughts that like maybe come up, especially when you bring up weird things about ScarJo.
Yeah. You're bringing her up more than me, buddy.
Yeah, I know, I'm fucking mad.
I think you have a favorite movie here.
Black Widow was sick.
Yeah. That's all right. The ominous voice, to be honest with you, like, I do have a theory. And I actually think it was the puppet master, to be honest with you. And I think he was using Kusanagi's voice to kind of fuck with them and to probably fuck with her, or like maybe just plant the seed so that later on when they do meet up and he tries to convince her to merge, which we'll get to later, she's more inclined to maybe lean towards it because he kind of planted the self-doubt. You know what I mean, in her?
Yeah, that's it. I believe that.
So let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that one. I like that one.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
for sure.
After that, you get a long, like, ominous montage right after that scene. Right. And you get a lot of, this is where you get a lot of the like kind of nice building, some grungy shit, kind of some like, nice, clean looking stuff. And then like a dirty street or whatever. And then the very last scene, there's like just a bunch of mannequins. And then there's a naked blonde in the street who gets hit by a car. Yeah. Okay. And that will bring us to like the puppet master and getting into what's going on with him. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that blonde in the street that got hit by a car was the puppet master.
Oh yeah. I know. So, this is another issue I had a little bit with this movie, and it's probably a case of adapting a manga to a movie. There are some scenes that were just explained away that would have been cool scenes to see. For example, like the building of the puppet master, as opposed to just showing up in the street and getting hit by a car, right? And now he's just, or she or whatever, is just like being ripped apart in a lab, and that's the next time you see him or her, right?
So my thing with that is that this movie is one of the highest budgeted animes still to this day, right? So I don't think they had the funds to really elaborate with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because the amount of animation that went on in this was probably so expensive.
They blew their wad on montages.
Yeah, well, they blew their wad on a lot of things.
Fair enough, yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Another scene that was kind of explained away a little bit is Section 9 are the bad guys?
No.
Section 6 are the bad guys?
Section 6 were the bad guys because they were doing some conspiracy of like withholding information.
And they create the puppet master.
Yeah, they actually created.
Yeah.
So they explained, while the puppet master is hung up, torn to shreds, that they created the body to lure the the rogue puppet master into the body, and then they murdered what they thought was the puppet master's human form because they didn't realize it was an AI, I guess.
No, so they knew that it was an AI, but it was like that it evolved into something more.
Yeah.
Right.
But they say they murdered it. Like they say, it's explicitly said they lured it into this form they made.
Yeah.
Right. And then they murdered it. Right.
Which would look exactly like Kusanagi with blonde hair.
Yeah.
And the idea was to trap it inside it's like trapping software in a hardware that can't be put into anything else.
Yeah.
And you destroy the hardware.
Okay, so that when they say they murdered it, they're talking about like destroying the computer they thought it came from.
Yeah, and so because it developed a ghost, essentially, right? You're murdering somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like when
they just used terms that made me think that they thought it was a human.
But
and the human's ghost jumped into the fake body and then they murdered a human.
It's because it became sentient and it began to contemplate its own existence.
Yeah.
That's why they like thought that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they're like treating it more like a human because it became one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is a big, like the whole thing about AI even nowadays, right? Like is like when you meet an AI with a human body, And does it pass out? Well, I can't remember what that test is called, where if like you're talking to it and you don't know if it's
the Turing test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Took me a second to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Turing
I'm
test.
so bad with fucking names and like recalling like this shit like that.
Yeah.
But that's the idea, right? Like it's now a person, essentially in a lot of people's eyes. Like when I see that, even for myself, it's like, oh, I know that it wasn't like naturally born. It didn't have like a natural soul. It had an artificial soul, but it's still a soul at the end of the day. So does that soul still have the same rights? Because he even says, I want the same rights because now I have a ghost. Yeah. Right? Yeah,
he gets into some weird like political jargon to try and like lobby for political asylum.
Yeah.
That was a little strange too. But I think what fell short in that scene was the fact that they explained all that away without showing it to me. And so in the explanation, it just got a bit squirrely as to what actually went down. Yeah. Where I was like, if they had just kind of given me a scene and like maybe a minute and a half less on that montage, I would have been happier with that.
Yeah. Again, too, this movie was trying to push the envelope of cinematic animation too. And I would agree with you that they could have put a little bit more in there. Yeah. But I'm not going to knock them for like running out of budget money.
No, I just think that because of some of the plot points weren't as strong. They were there and the plot's all there. And now that I'm having you like smart gentlemen explain it to me, I'm understanding it a bit more.
I got a compliment.
But as I was watching it, I was a bit confused is all I'm saying.
I hear that.
Yeah, that's it. So like she's ordered then to destroy the puppet master because now they go and chase him down because he escapes somehow, like the lights go out and there's
well it's section 6 who kind of like kidnaps the puppet master again to kind of cover up their mistake.
That's right. So then they send her they send the team after him or her. There's a gender bending thing with the puppet master too because it's AI. It's like either or but right away she's not going to be able to kill him. Like as soon as they tell her to, I'm like, she's not killing him.
No, she's not.
They're kind of kindred spirits. You know what I mean?
And she has so many unanswered questions about her own existence that she feels like she's going to be able to get from the puppet master.
Yeah, totally. And so what's interesting between their relationship is like she is a human who feels the limitations of her your humanity, right? And he's an AI who feels the limitations of the network and wants to become human, right? So they really, truly like fill in each other's gaps. Yeah. Which is interesting why in the end he wants to merge because really the two halves make a whole. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That last scene on the tank, you already talked about the ripping her arms off, which was fucking intense, man. Yeah. And there's some imagery in that scene that's unreal, dude. Like the tank is shooting up a tree of human evolution, and a bunch of dinosaur bones. Yeah. All right. Again, like the visual metaphors and the visual like imagery is unbelievable there. And when she was tearing herself apart, I was like, my face was all contorted and shit, right?
Especially when you see all the muscle fibers and stuff start like pulling and straining. Like, it's just so good. Yeah. It's just so good.
For sure. And then, then they like plug in and they're chatting with each other and like he's propositioning her. Like he wants to like to fuck.
Yeah, well, what they want to do is create. Well, it's that same idea of like procreating, right? Yeah. Like, and procreation is really to preserve your species in a certain way. So they want to preserve themselves. So they create this kind of new entity or this new DNA, this new strand of genes, so that it evolves. Yeah, right. And like you still have a sense of who you are and of what you used to be, but now you're this new child who has these. Not only these kind of like old memories, but a deeper understanding of what both the human world and the artificial world is like.
Again, two halves of the whole going to come together and be like a united, complete being. Yeah. But like when he's talking to her, he makes it seem like, oh, we have to reproduce. That's the one thing that I can't do because I'm not human. Like all this death and destruction and murder has been to fucking have children, aka I'm the world's biggest incel. Right? This fucking AI.
Because he becomes obsessed with the idea that
of getting laid.
No, the essence of life is to live out mortality and to reproduce. Yeah. Well, those are two key things. And if you don't do that, then you are not alive.
Yeah. And so he makes all humanity suffer in order for him to get that. which
To
is
feel
kind
alive?
of again an incel quality.
No. So
Right?
no, here.
They're gonna make all the women suffer
it's-
because the women don't want them and he can't have them.
No. It's an experience for the puppet master. That's like that next level of becoming human.
Yeah.
That he isn't able to have. He's
Right.
not blaming women or like blaming anyone. Like a
No,
lot
but he
of
is
it
gonna take them all down to get it.
Well, no, he's not taking them all down. He's just creating an opportunity.
Kusanagi a lot.
I know, but
Yeah.
up until that point, he's murdering and exploding and destroying.
Well, he's creating
Creating havoc, dude.
Well, he is, but it's not like specifically.
To
It's
get
not
it
havoc.
is from day one specifically to get her.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's not havoc for havoc's sake.
Yeah,
it's,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
It's a means to an end.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
exactly what I'm saying. Right? Like in the same way an incel will like berate and abuse women,
Yeah.
right? Just to get to because they can't get one.
But the puppet
Yeah.
master did none of that to Kusanagi.
Yeah.
No, but he
Really?
did that to everybody else. It's still the same behavior. I'm still gonna go with world's biggest AI incel. Like that's my opinion, dude. And in the end, he's like, I just want to get.
I know what you're doing right now. I know exactly what you're trying to fucking do right now.
Dude, the guy just wants to fucking have children, and he just can't, and so he's gonna murder and kill his way to get it.
You're gonna end the fucking podcast like this? Is that how you? This is where we're going right now?
It's where we are right now. I'm just saying. Anyways, okay. So
anyway.
let's. She merges. In the
merges.
end, she's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Again, didn't take much convincing, and I know she was like going through some shit, a long process in her mind to get there. But like that last scene in the conversation was just like one quick like, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I've been thinking. Yeah, you're into that, and she's like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, but I also think too, like in that situation at the end where they had the snipers on them, like they had to make like a split second decision. Right, or they both would have been fucking like obliterated. Not to mention, you did have Bato there.
I was gonna say
like,
he lived.
yeah, he got his fucking arm blown off.
Yeah, but still.
like
He
it's
made it.
still,
Not to mention, also, aren't they ghosts? So they could essentially just like inhabit another body.
No, but,
So
if,
their
they-
lives
but
are really
if, their
risky.
brain, if their brain were to get destroyed,
Yeah.
they're done. That's why it's
Is that
important that
how it
Bateau shows up when he does, because he actually shields her brain just like
Yeah.
in the nick of time.
With his one arm.
yeah, because her brain wasn't backed up anywhere.
Yeah, I guess that's true. His brain exists everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. He can just hop. Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Okay, so they merge, and now she's a sassy goth girl.
I'm gonna give you that one. I'm just gonna give you that one.
Slash biggest incel.
Now she's
not.
neither of the original two. She's something else
A
now. right?
combination of both.
Yeah, but like she even explicitly says, she's like, both of those things are gone, and I'm this other thing. That's the two of them that have come together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. Yeah. And yeah, again, I was confused with the terms reproduce and merge, and in the end, merge is the better term because they didn't really reproduce.
No.
They just became one thing
thing.
together, right?
But
so some of the language in that was like a little confusing to me because I was like, what's happening? And at the end, there's this one little sassy goth girl. I was like, is that their daughter? I'm like, no, it's them.
Yeah, it's like a metaphorical reproducing of like we are creating something from two different things to make something new.
Yeah.
Right.
But that is also not necessarily that's the reproduction itself. They're setting themselves up to be able to reproduce now.
Yeah.
The puppet master finally has like a body now. Like that's they're going to be free and clear now to go around and to do whatever they want
and explore. Right.
But he had a
She even
body.
says that like
He had a body.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, but it's not
really.
really. Like she's also technically her body was also property of the manufacturer that created it, right? Because
Okay.
she's technically the property of the government,
Right.
her body.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the most free the puppet master has been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
And
that
Kusanagi
they're-
herself,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So
It's like freedom for both, but at the price of their individuality, I guess.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had to merge to become free.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
And then it's over.
that's it.
And she just walks off into the world.
So
Except for the like again massive amounts of other material now from this universe
Yeah.
with these characters and
Yeah.
this whole
Yeah.
world. I mean, this is a small glimpse at a huge franchise.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, there's Ghost in the Shell 2, and like the manga still keeps going.
Yeah.
Right. So like we won't touch on that because I think standalone, this is like an amazing movie.
Sure.
And just leaving it here, I think is a really nice spot.
Yeah.
So what would you rate this?
I'm going to give it, honestly, an 8 out of 10.
What?
I know I came at you guys hard.
Stop
I came
the
at you guys hard.
presses. My God.
An 8?
Yeah, and you know what?
on, man.
I'll tell you what. Wait, you want me to give it more?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Dude, I originally wrote down a 7 out of 10, but over the course of this conversation, you guys explained a lot of shit for me.
Cool.
Because I did actually find a lot of it a little confusing. Now, granted, how many times have you watched this movie?
A lot.
How many times have you watched this movie?
1.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I watched it twice, and I still came away a little bit confused. But also, I don't quite have the same frame of reference for just anime and the like needing to accept things.
Yeah, that's also true. I would also say too, like for me, like watching it as a kid when it first came out, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's also a part of me that has this nostalgia for it.
Sure.
So I am very biased in that way.
Yeah. So, anyways, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because I found a bunch of it confusing, and I know I came at you hard, but a lot of that was just kind of me coming at you and making you mad, and it worked, and I'm happy it did, and that was fun. But you guys bumped it up a point by the end of this episode.
All right,
so,
fine. I accept it. Okay,
proud
that's
of
good.
us.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I would give this like a 9. I would say a 9.8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 9.8. It's pretty high up there for me, like just based on nostalgia.
Sure.
My field, the artwork, how fucking like prolific this movie was and still is.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'd say for me, it was the vibe. The vibe saved the movie. You know what I mean? It was just big, huge vibe from top to bottom. Moods all over the place. The cinematography, top notch. Another like thing, and I know you said it was budget, but like it was only an hour and 20. Another 20 minutes would have made a huge difference on this movie to me. They could have explained some shit. They could have given me some scenes they explained away.
Again,
and I'm a happy
so
boy.
expensive to make a movie like this back in the day.
I understand. I'm just saying that, like, if I'm gonna, in the end, that's probably one of the reasons why I can't give it a higher score. Is you know what I mean? I think that constraint hurt them a a little bit.
Yeah,
and I'm sure in the manga, I'm not confused.
Well,
in the movie,
also,
I'm a little confused.
you have a very different tone in the manga.
Yeah.
You don't get this like detective noir feel and like the seriousness and the grittiness of it in the manga. It has a very different tone.
Sure.
Right. So I think what they did with this and the direction that they decided to take it in, it was just brilliant. So, but yeah. Cool. I think that was a great episode, man. Like I'm surprised at how much you actually like this.
Yeah, I'll watch it again, to be honest with you. It was cool, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like.
And then we can do the episode again, and I can give my score, maybe. I mean,
Did you have a score?
Did you have a score?
I don't know. I guess
Jay,
if
what's
you
your
guys
score?
if you guys want to know what it is, I mean,
Instead of rating the movie,
clearly I don't think you do, but like it's fine. I mean, I guess I could come
Fuck
up
you,
with
senpai.
why don't
Fuck
you, instead of rating the movie, why don't you rate Scarlett Johansson's performance in
my God, I'm
the
fucking
really good
leaving. I'm
remake that they did?
But yeah,
you guys don't get my score.
All right, that's the end. Thank you guys for watching. This is Anime Shmanime.
Yeah, subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a review, all that good stuff. It helps us out. We love you.
Yeah.
All my little Shweebs.
Yeah, and add Ghost in the Shell to your watch list if you haven't watched it, because it was dope.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, where can people find you?
Hanger91.bigcartel.com. Get yourself some anime shirts and other dumb stuff that I make.
Other really cool stuff that he makes.
What about you, Jordy?
You can catch me on Instagram at @reachingin. I'm there. You'll see me and my dog and my fam.
Yeah.
Sometimes some music shit, but that's where I am.
You can also see me on Instagram. I still don't remember my Instagram handle for some reason. It's like Korean Barbecue 86 or something like that, or Korean Barbecue.
Yeah.
I was one of the two.
You should write it down on your hand.
I know. Where's my phone?
I don't know.
But anyways, thanks for listening.
See ya.